Hey there, Joe Walker here, author of Elvis in Arkansas, with you again to talk a little bit about Elvis, Arkansas history. And today we're going to talk about the pink Cadillac. Everyone knows about the pink Cadillac. It's sort of Elvis Presley and pink Cadillac are sort of synonymous with one another. You can't really think of one without the other. And indeed, if you go over to Graceland these days, across the street from the mansion, they've built an enormous complex that includes a concert venue, an area that showcases a lot of Elvis's stage outfits and some personal effects that belong to him. And there's also an automobile museum that includes several of the cars that Elvis owned, along with motorcycles, golf carts, just sort of a variety of things. The showcase, the centerpiece of the automobile museum, is Elvis's pink Cadillac. And it's the first thing you see, it just kind of jumps out at you when you walk in the room right there. But did you know that the Cadillac that is on display there at Graceland, Elvis's pink Cadillac, is not Elvis's first pink Cadillac. It's the second pink Cadillac. And there's an Arkansas connection to that we're going to talk about today. Go back a little bit in time. In February of 1955, Elvis purchased a Cadillac Fleetwood Series 60. The vehicle was pink with a white top, and he and his guitarist Scotty Moore and his bass player Bill Black, they used that vehicle commencing in February of 1955 to travel across the Arklatex. That was Elvis's, that's what gave birth to Elvis Presley, and his music right there was Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. Those states right there, that developed who he was as an entertainer before he went on to nationwide stardom. So they traversed this whole area, and Arkansas was included with that, because if they drove out to West Texas or East Texas, then they would travel right back across Arkansas to get back. Same way if they went down into Louisiana, they would come across Arkansas to get back. So they saw a lot of Arkansas in those days. And so that was in February of 55 when he purchased the vehicle. On June the 5th, 1955, Elvis performed in Hope, Arkansas. Now, Hope is located between Little Rock and Texarkana. It's a little closer to Texarkana than it is Little Rock. So they performed a show there that night. At the conclusion of the show, Elvis and a young lady who knew from the area, they got in the pink Cadillac, and Bill Black and Scotty Moore got in the follow-up vehicle, and there was a young lady in there with them. And then there was a group of fans in several cars that decided just to kind of tag along, because from Hope, they were going to drive southwest along Highway 67 to Texarkana, where the next show was. And so they're driving southwest along Highway 67. They go through the town of Fulton, 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 Arkansas. Once they get across the river bridge there in Fulton and cross over the bridge, there's sort of a sharp curve there. And the people behind Elvis began to see smoke coming from his vehicle. Scotty Moore observed it. The people in the caravan behind him did. They actually pulled up alongside Elvis and were yelling and pointing, that, hey, your car's on fire. So Elvis pulled the vehicle to the side of the road. He got out. The brake line on the front left tire was on fire. And so they quickly opened the trunk up. They got their instruments out. They got the cash box out that was from Hope. They got the clothing out. They piled everything on the side of the road. The people there remember Elvis sitting on the side of the road just sobbing while his car just completely burns up. There was a lady that was in the follow-up vehicle with Scotty Moore and Bill Black, and she had brought her camera to the Hope show, and she took several photographs of Elvis on stage at Hope. And she had the sense enough to get out and take some pictures of the Cadillac after it burned. She took 4 photographs. Those photographs were passed on to her daughter, and we were able to contact her daughter, and we were able to make use of those photographs in the book. A little sidebar about all of this, about books and Elvis and things like that. There are a lot of books about Elvis Presley out there. There are hundreds of books. And there's a lot of really, really good books. And there's some not so good books. But something I have found as an Elvis fan over the years is sometimes I see where they will take the same stories that have been told over and over again, and maybe even the same photographs that have been used time and time again, and they'll sort of regurgitate this into a book, put a different title on it and a different cover, and then resell that. And I've always looked at that as kind of a disservice to both Elvis and to his fans. And so when I set out to write Elvis in Arkansas, I was not going to do that. I was not going to tell these same stories and use these same photographs. If I couldn't come up with something unique and different about Elvis Presley and his time in Arkansas, I wasn't going to do the book. And I'm happy to say we did that. We have published a number of stories in there that have never been told. They've never been published, and we were very careful to validate the stories to make sure that there was complete truth to these. There's a lot of stories about Elvis out there, but we were able to carefully make sure and vet these, that these were good stories about Elvis's time in Arkansas. And there's also several photographs, a lot of photographs that were in the book that have never been published before. The 4 photographs taken of the Cadillac on the side of the road have never been published. And she was very gracious enough to allow us to use the photographs that her mother had taken a few hours earlier when Elvis was on stage in Hope. Those, again, have never been published before. So we were very fortunate here, and I'm so appreciative of her for this. So the Cadillac is on the side of the road. The instruments on the side of the road. Elvis is on the side of the road crying. They gather everything up. They leave the car on the side of the road. They head on to Texarkana. They call for another vehicle to come out of Memphis. Elvis by then had several cars back home, and they finish out the tour that they've got with the extra vehicle. On July 7th, 1955, Elvis purchased a second Cadillac. Again, it's a Series 60 Fleetwood, and it was blue with a black top. Well, right after he purchased the vehicle, he had the color repainted to pink. So now we have a pink Cadillac with a black top, and that's the vehicle that they start traveling about once again. So that was in July of 55. Move forward to September 2nd, 1955. Elvis, Scotty, and Bill had been performing in Shreveport. They were headed north to perform in Texarkana. Just south of Texarkana is the small town of Fouke, Arkansas. They had a farmer pull out in front of them in what was described as a farm truck, and they T-boned the vehicle. They rammed the Cadillac right into the side of the farm truck, causing extensive damage to the front end of the pink Cadillac. So, once again, just a few miles apart, first we had the car burn up, then we had the car crash into the farm truck. Elvis has this Cadillac taken back to Memphis for repairs, and they repaired the front grille on it. The front body of the vehicle is repaired, and while they have it at the body shop, he asked them to go ahead and change the color of the top from black to white. So now we have a pink Cadillac with a white top on it. And that vehicle there, that second vehicle that was involved in the traffic accident in Fouke, that is the one that is on display at Graceland today. So when you think of Elvis's pink Cadillac, it's actually the second pink Cadillac, and it also had an accident in Arkansas. Now you go back a little bit, we talk about the first Cadillac. What happened to it? That was a question I had from the very onset of this. And the short answer is no one knows. I did travel down to the area. I talked to several residents. There were actually some residents who were there at the time all this happened, and they remember the vehicle fire. Most recall the vehicle was dragged off of the highway, the side of the highway, and there was a field adjacent to it, and it was dragged out in the field and just sat there for the longest. And they remember seeing this thing for quite a while after the vehicle fire, until one day it's gone. The vehicle's gone. And so the consensus down there, which I kind of agree with, is that the vehicle was loaded up and it was sold for scrap. And so it's obviously no longer exists out there. It would be cool, I think, one day to maybe place a historical marker there along the roadway to kind of commemorate what happened, because that was a significant moment in Elvis's life, and significant moment in Elvis and Arkansas history as well. And if you haven't had a chance to get the book, we'd encourage you to do so. We've been very grateful and appreciative for all the folks that are buying books and the kind words and the nice emails that they send. It's a really good book. And I don't say that because I wrote the book. I say that as an Elvis fan. I can tell you that this turned out far better than I expected. And I'm so appreciative to everyone with their stories and their photographs that helped make this possible, including the pictures of the Cadillac. So if you have you can go to Amazon.com and purchase your book there, or you can go to ElvisInArkansas.com and you can actually purchase a signed copy. Purchase the book online there. I'll sign you a copy, inscribe it how you'd like me to, and send the book right out there to you. If you have a question about the Cadillac story here, you can leave a comment below. Or if you have maybe a suggestion for another topic that's related to Elvis in Arkansas you'd like to talk about, then send us an email. And the email is elvisbook2020@gmail.com. That's elvisbook2020@gmail.com. Again, thanks for tuning in to the YouTube channel here. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk again.